Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Today we're discussing a sci-fi movie where a young man, his memory erased, finds himself in a society of boys. High and eerie walls surrounded this society. He has only one path ahead of him to escape from there, and he faces dangerous challenges to cross. Check the title of the movie in the description. The movie begins with an elevator rising into the sky. A troubled young guy wakes up. Disoriented, he finds himself trapped in an ever-rising elevator. Scary noises inside the elevator increase his anxiety. After what seems like a while, the elevator stops at its peak, and darkness covers it. He finally sees the sunshine, flanked by many inquisitive bystanders. Gally quickly jumps down and pulls him out of the elevator, falling on the soft grass below. As the gathering builds, the young boy becomes distressed and flees. He stops to assess his surroundings after falling flat on his face while running at full speed. They are enclosed by massive walls. The other guys call him Green Bean and throw him into a temporary prison. Moments later, Albie unlocks the cell. He asks Green Bean if he remembers anything about his actual identity. But he is disoriented and terrified. Albie comforts him by saying that they all forgot their names in this case before, but remembered them in a few days. He shows him their sleeping quarters, eating room, and other vital places. Every month, the elevator provides them with survival necessities and introduces a new person. Albie says they still don't know who controls the elevator. It appears that Newt is his right-hand man. He walks him to the top of a tower they erected, exposing their vast walls with a gap. He has shared a series of rules with everyone, with one being the most important: never leave the walls. Green Bean and Chuck meet, but his curiosity leads him to the wall. Two people emerge from the maze, with Chuck explaining that only runners may enter. Despite Chuck's warnings that he shouldn't go near it, Green Bean continues to check the inside of the walls, insisting on his curiosity. Gally shoves him and urges him to keep away, but he shouts, and everyone gathers. Albie says they can't let him go, and the wall erupts in tumult. A massive blast of wind blows at Greenie, quickly closing and sealing the barriers. That night, the friends celebrate with a big bonfire, and Newt offers Green Bean a drink more cordially than the others, but he's still focused on the sealed walls and thinking about it. After drinking the strange concoction, he coughs, and Newt mockingly reveals that it's Gally's recipe. Newt informs him about the Runner's Maze group. He says Minho, the runner keeper, has been charting the maze for 3 years to locate an escape path, but the maze changes every night. Green Bean doubts it, but suddenly a distant sound attracts their attention. No one has survived a night in the maze due to the movements of nocturnal creatures known as grievers, which are the source of the sounds. Newt then introduces him to some of the other guys, but Gally proposes a duel. Everyone supports them, and the goal is to stay within their circle. Gally again outsmarts him, but his hubris brings him down as he knocks him over. In another attempt, Gally knocks him out, which leads to his head hitting the ground hard. He remembers his name and exclaims that it's Thomas, and everyone crowds around him, including Gally, to congratulate him. That night Thomas finds himself ensnared in a terrifying nightmare where a group of scientists conduct bizarre experiments. They whisper to him, revealing something important. Albie interrupts his reverie and wakes him up to invite him on a stroll. He tells Thomas that they were in chaos, had dark days, and lost many lives until they found order. He also tells him that, unlike the others, he is unusual and curious. Albie gives him a knife to carve his name on the wall like the others, and then, following Thomas's curiosity about the scratched names, he explains the reason as the hard days. Later, Newt recalls their earlier attempts to escape, including leaping into the elevator and climbing over the maze, but none of them succeeded. They send Thomas into the forest to fetch fertilizer. He finds a trophy-like structure named George. Moments later, surrounded by a horrifying pile of bones, Thomas notices a mysterious boy named Ben staring at him with rage. Ben dashes towards Thomas, screaming in anger, and blames him for the bad physical condition he is in. He screams loudly, prompting the others to seize Ben and put him to the ground. Albie pulls his shirt, showing a worrying illness. They are surprised by the timing of this tragic event. Albie explains to him that a bite causes a person to lose their emotions and become dangerous, a phenomenon known as change. Thomas tells him Ben blamed him for his situation and asks him about the consequences for Ben. Ben stands in front of the maze doors, his pulse racing. Throwing a rucksack into the maze further complicates his already difficult mission. As the walls draw closer, the boys are ordered by Albie to use their spears to force Ben to leave the city and enter the maze as he pleads, they forcing him to let out. A deafening scream can be heard as Ben's name vanished from the wall, while everyone silently grieves for their lost colleague. Chuck tells Thomas that Ben's prospects of surviving the maze are minimal. At night, while sleeping, Thomas has another real nightmare. In this memory, A scientist says wicked is good. As he sleeps through an experiment, a girl forecasts a significant shift. When he wakes up early in the morning, he sees Albie quickly entering the wall with Minho, which surprises him. Newt says a person comes out of the elevator every month, and Albie was the first to enter the maze. Thomas worries about the runners and Albie's delay as a storm approaches, but Newt remains hopeful that they will return soon. Within the maze, the trio is missing. The gates close, and Gally says that no one may enter. The sight of Minho carrying Albie, unable to return in time, suggests their reluctance to take any further risks with the maze. In the midst of the chaos, Thomas harbors a troubling thought, and heeds it. After that, Minho calls him an idiot for sprinting through the gates before they close. Thomas approaches Albie and notices a sting. After hearing a powerful roar from the maze, Minho quickly invites Thomas to accompany him on a dangerous adventure, but Thomas refuses to. With Minho's approval, they carry him, and the deafening sound of scream reverberates as they set him down. The strain is mounting, and Minho considers escaping. Thomas resists, tries to keep Albie concealed. Minho swears they're dead, and Thomas spots the foliage on the maze walls, which inspires him. Albie is tied to them and lifted as high as possible, and Minho sees the griever approaching. After realizing they had to leave, he quickly fled. As a frightening creature approaches, Thomas flees under the foliage-covered wall. He swiftly fastens the rope to a substantial foliage-covered object, leaving Albie elevated on the wall. The griever misses him and leaves. He hears the maze twist, then steps into a sticky material. As he glances up, he sees the griever and flees, frantically attempting to escape. Unfortunately, the grievers know the maze and can foresee most of Thomas's moves. He runs till he can't go farther, then climbs the enormous wall with skill and agility to reach its dangerous edge. In a difficult predicament, he must jump and grab some foliage. Thomas gets up first, and Minho finds him as the griever fiercely chases him, forcing them to run away with all their strength. As the walls press in, Thomas devises a fantastic scheme. He calmly waits for the griever to see him, then runs at Minho, unafraid. Subsequently, his clever trap kills the evil creature. The next morning the guys excitedly await their buddies but discover none. As they leave, they glance back at the maze and are shocked to see the three still alive. Curious, they ask how they survived. At the town council meeting, everyone realizes change is coming. Minho says Thomas defeated a griever and supports Thomas, saying he valiantly remained behind to help Albie and killed a griever. Gally believes Thomas enters the forbidden maze against the rules and wants to punish him, believing their relationship with the grievers is risky. A thunderous trumpet announces that the elevator is climbing, and they realize a girl has joined them. The note in her hand indicates that she is the last one. She suddenly wakes up and calls for Thomas, drawing attention to him. Gally becomes increasingly enraged with Thomas, convinced that their survival depends on obtaining the necessary supplies. Newt and Thomas analyze the memo, highlighting the serious repercussions of no longer getting elevator supplies. Thomas wants to return to the maze, but Minho tells him to relax, and then they make a deal to go there with a group of runners at a certain time. After entering and inspecting the ruins, they discover the griever, who was between the walls. With no idea what it is, the team swiftly removes a red button ticking within the glove. It carries the number 7. They head back to the camp, hoping to inform Newt of its existence. Gally still wants punishment, so Newt sentences Thomas to a night in the pit. But he insists that he is a member of the runners starting tomorrow and officially announces this, at which point Gally departs, disappointed by the meeting's outcome. After that, Minho takes him to a remote woodland lodge. He unveils his stunning maze replica. He is the only one who knows that the maze has been planned, but there is no escape. He discloses that the outside parts have huge walls with numbness. Every night, a new maze segment emerges, evolving daily. Section 7 was open the night before, which is interesting. Suddenly, they receive news that the girl has regained consciousness. At the top of the tower, she refuses to talk to anyone and throws objects to defend herself. Thomas fearlessly approaches a distressed young girl and explains the problem, despite her resistance to talk. Her name, Teresa, comes to mind quickly. Teresa and Thomas had a long talk, during which Teresa admitted that she had 2 syringes in her pocket upon landing. He speculates that it may stop the change, and he tells Newt to use it for Albie's cure. He loses consciousness after receiving an injection of the purported remedy. Thomas faces the repercussions of his actions as the sun sets. Gally brings him to a hole for imprisonment. As night falls, Chuck visits Thomas and feeds him. He gives Thomas a small memento he loves, one he believes he made for his parents, whom he can never remember, so he asks him to give it to them if he can get out. Thomas does not accept it because he believes that they will all be saved, so he asks him to keep it with him until the day he sees them. The next day, After freeing Thomas, he and Minho enter the maze and navigate through its spiral paths to reach the outer walls. In number 7, they find Ben's shredded clothes. The gadget takes them to a certain area that Minho has never seen before. The gadget changes color, and the surrounding walls open to reveal a tunnel. As they approach, a red laser scans them from head to toe and sounds an alarm. The maze undergoes drastic changes, triggering a thunderous alarm that intensifies due to the closing blades and other obstacles. Thomas hardly follows Minho, barely avoiding the blades. The ground beneath them splits apart, so they must run as fast as they can to get back to the maze before it's too late. When they return, they inform Newt that they have found a new way. As soon as Gally arrives, he yells at Thomas because he blames him for everything that happened, and then the argument between them starts. Teresa stops them and informs them that Albie has regained consciousness, so they all go to him immediately, but he remains silent. With tears in his eyes, he confesses that there is no escape for them because he saw all this in a dream and reveals that Thomas was always their favorite. In the meantime, the team must go outside and make sure the entrance to the maze is still open. A roar startles them, and 3 more gates open nearby. Suddenly, the Grievers appear and start a brutal attack. As casualties mount, Gully bravely leads a group into a dangerous hole, and on the other side, while many are dying, Thomas informs Albie of their attack. One of them catches fire, and they all run to the wide field, but Albie falls. However, they resist and seek cover. As they hide in a shelter, they sense a menacing presence lurking in the shadows. Suddenly, a metal tail encircles Chuck, prompting them to rush to his rescue. Try to free him. The attacker reappears, and this time she grabs Albie. Thomas boldly tries to free him, but he doesn't succeed, and Albie asks him to take them out as the last word. Gally arrives and punches Thomas in the face, saying that he was sent to destroy all their valuables. Since they stole a poisonous bite from the Grievers, Thomas decides to remember like Albie, so he boldly poisons himself and collapses. He discovers the truth. Teresa and he were colleagues, both employed by the same woman. He wakes up in the pit. The others inform him that Gally has taken over the group and is going to exile them. Thomas reveals that the maze is a challenge, not a prison, and also admits that he is one of them who worked for them along with Teresa. Newt explains to Thomas how they got into the maze and emphasizes the importance of finding a way out and rescuing his fellow prisoners. Afterward, as the sun sets, the gates release and they bring Thomas and Teresa for punishment. Despite predictions of their banishment, Gally plans to impale him and Teresa, offering them to the Grievers in the hopes that their sacrifices will restore peace to society. Suddenly, Thomas disarms him with his allies at the right time and boldly says that he plans to spend his opportunities inside the maze, and instead of staying and surrendering, he chose adventure and faces the Grievers. A large number of rescued people join him, but only a few of them choose to stay with Gally. The team quickly navigates the maze and reaches the outskirts of the square, where they encounter the dangerous Griever. Thomas encourages everyone to fight for freedom with his remarks, and then they attack the Griever and beat it decisively. Once they toss the Griever into the moat, more Grievers launch attacks on their opponents. As the group suffers casualties, Chuck loses the key, but he swiftly seizes the descending it. As they approach, the gate opens to reveal an escape hatch. As the Grievers advance relentlessly, killing many men, the door requires an 8 cod. Just as Minho is about to open the hatch, one of the Grievers catches him, prompting his brave friend to volunteer to save him. As a result, this effort frees Minho, but unfortunately, it results in his death. According to the code, the gates will open one by one and destroy the Grievers who are trying to kill them. Through the escape hatch, men find themselves in a dark place. They open a door to enter an endless corridor. They move through winding corridors until they reach a room labeled Exit at the top. This leads them to a large control room that seems to have been monitored from here. Strangely, there is an attack and many dead employees are seen on the ground. As Newt finds the maze's hidden cameras, Thomas notices a flashing red button on a nearby screen. He pushes without hesitation. A video shows Ava Age, director of the Global Catastrophe Kill Zone, announcing the success of the maze tests on a monitor. She says that solar flares have destroyed the Earth. Flaming viruses killed billions. Young people undergo widespread testing because there is no cure, but the next generation may discover one. She warns them that there are more problems ahead, and that not everyone will succeed. She murmurs, "Wicked is good," before succumbing to the chaos and the deaths of his staff at his facility. She commits suicide. Thomas identifies her body. As the team looks at his dead body, a door opens, revealing the outside world, and suddenly Gally walks in from behind. After being bitten and infected, he raises a gun towards Thomas, intending to kill him. Minho slowly prepares to fight him, and at the right moment, He throws a spear at him and kills him. However, Gally also fired the bullet, which unfortunately hit Chuck. Before his death he gives Thomas the memorial he made for his parents, and as Thomas cries over his body, a door opens and armed masked agents force them to leave. They barely separate Thomas from Chuck and order everyone to board the helicopter. A man promises them that they are safe. The helicopter ascends, revealing the maze below in stunning detail. After they leave, Ava wipes the blood from her forehead and declares that the maze tests were successful. She admires Thomas and optimistically sees them as the key to everything. She is happy that the survivors have passed this phase. However, he reveals that phase 2 has just begun. The movie ends with a helicopter passing through a ruined city, evoking the apocalypse. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.